Hello YouTube, Dave here again. This is another new gaming stuff video. So this is going to be sort of a collection of things that I've either picked up myself or that have been sent to me for review purposes that I just haven't shown off on camera yet. So we're just going to dive right into it, I guess. But I like doing these types of videos. Number one, I enjoy watching other people do pickup videos. I've had people, when there was a period of time where I wasn't doing them, I had people sort of ask if I was going to start them up again because they enjoy watching some of these. So I don't know, like hopefully you guys enjoy this. I enjoy making it. It's sort of also just a quick, easy, low pressure video to sort of put out. And for certain things, if I don't get around to the review right away, at least I've got, on camera, on video, the fact that these products are out there. And if you're interested in them, you should be able to check them out at your local game store. So they do serve a few purposes, but yeah, I enjoy doing them, and hopefully you guys enjoy watching them. So let's just dive right into it, shall we? The first thing that I have here is an item that was sent to me for review purposes that's going to be connected to an upcoming Kickstarter. So the Kickstarter launches on October 12th. And it is currently October 2nd when I'm recording this video, or I guess technically it's very early in the morning on October 3rd because it's around 1:30 at the time in the morning when I'm recording this. But what we have is a product designed to help you track your spell slots. Now this was sent to me by Chris from I think it's Dungeon Bones. I apologize, Chris, if I got that wrong. I don't have the sheet in front of me, and I'm get pretty scatterbrained at 1:30 in the morning. But I will do the actual full unboxing and review video that he can use for his Kickstarter, and I'll be releasing that on October 12th when it comes out. So I'm not going to show what's inside the box, but I will at least show the fact that the product is here. Chris is the same person that sent me the condition poker chips that I did a video on last year, and he also sent me the metal Potion of Healing for D&D 5th edition. Like, he sent me the metal chips of that was sort of like just a concept that he was working on. So this was before he had the actual product out. But I've shown some of his stuff in previous videos, and I'm always impressed with the quality. And this is certainly no exception. I'm actually completely blown away by it. But like I said, this is just a teaser because I'm not going to show you the contents or anything until we get to October 12th. So if you're interested to see what's inside the box, be sure to check out the video that goes up on that day. And also check out the Kickstarter, because there's all kinds of cool stuff there that they're working on. And there's multiple versions of this particular product for different types, like different schools of magic. So there's, like I said, definitely worth checking out. But for now, we're just going to leave that little teaser right there, and we're going to move on to the rest of the stuff. So this next product was actually something that I picked up myself. But what we have here is the Nolzar's Marvelous Miniatures Death Tyrant Beholder. So Beholders are my favorite monsters. This is definitely not a surprise. I've mentioned it on a number of occasions. And whenever a Nolzar's Marvelous Miniature comes out that features a Beholder, I want to have it. So what's also really cool about this is this miniature is way better than the Death Tyrant Beholder that they had in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, the random plastic pre-painted product line. Because for the Death Tyrant that they had there, it's just basically like the Beholder skull, and you're supposed to have these ethereal eye stalks or ethereal Beholder eyes sort of orbiting its skull, and those are supposed to be sort of floating around the body. Different editions have had them as actual fleshy eye stalks. 5th edition, they just sort of had this as magical force that sort of orbits the Beholder. But the one that they had in the painted line just had this very thin plastic. I almost want to describe it as a halo. It wasn't on the top of the head, but it basically went on the side of the head as this, again, very thin piece of plastic that just went around the side, around the top, and then down around the other side. And it just had the eyes sort of dotted in along that, again, very thin 2D plane surrounding this Beholder skull. It looked bad. I saw someone pull it from a box, and he's like, "You like Beholders? Are you interested in this one?" And I was like, I'm not. But this one is really awesome because what they've done instead is just have these like clear plastic, magical force sort of things come out to represent where the eye stalk should be, and then you've got like the eyes, the beholder eyes, the ghostly beholder eyes at the ends of them. And I think this is just such a better way of doing it, and that way it's also protruding from different points along the skull as well, so they're not just like in this almost like a crown sort of on it type of thing. Really, really awesome. And I picked that up. I actually picked that up the same day that I picked up the dungeon kit for the DM screen for D&D 5e. But I've already done the video for that, so it felt a little redundant to have it in here because it's already on video. I've already done the review and shown everything about it. So it's there, but that I got that beholder at the same time. All right, up next we have a trio of items sent to me by Piezo. These actually I just got within the last couple of days, so I haven't done any videos on these yet, and I'm going to sort of explain for at least a couple of these products what my plans are for doing videos for them sort of going forward. But the first one that we have here is a set of pawns, so like the two-dimensional like cardboard pawn stand-ups. And this is for the Fists of the Ruby Phoenix Adventure Path. That was a 3-part adventure path. I have the first installment. I don't have the other 2 at this point in time. But basically, it has like the characters entering this like martial arts, or this sort of martial arts might not be the right thing, but it's basically they're entering like a tournament, fighting tournament. And the very first chapter has them like arriving at this island, and there's some stuff going on. They as they're making their way to their lodging, there's things that they have to deal with. Some of the other combatants they have to deal with. It honestly kind of reminds me of like the 1995 like Mortal Kombat movie in a sense. Especially the stuff with like the build up to like the tournament starting with them arriving, like getting to the island, arriving there and stuff like that. It's probably not a great comparison, but yeah. But this is the pawn collection to go along with that. And so these pawn collections, what they do is they give you all like the unique NPCs or the creatures or some of like just the encounter groups that you may go up against during the course of the adventure path, and they give you the pawns for them. So anything from size small up to size huge, they'll have. If something is larger than huge size, they don't have them in the pawn set, but there are very few examples of that. There are some, but there's very few examples of that. But you still get a ton of pawns, like over, 170 pawns just in this set alone. So it's really, really cool, and it goes great with the adventure path because it gives you all the stuff that you need. Also, they sent me the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Bestiary 3 battle card stack. Now this thing is absolutely massive. It's like the same size as the Bestiary 1 and 2 battle card decks, which were, again, massive all in themselves. So yeah, this is something I'm looking forward to doing a video on, but there's going to be sort of a difference in the way that I do some of the accessory videos going forward. Basically, when it comes to stuff like the pawn collections or the card collections, or even like the flip mats and flip tiles, I've done several videos on those types of stuff already. Like, so for the battle cards, I've already done full videos on the Bestiary battle deck for battle cards for the Bestiary 1, Bestiary 2, and the NPC deck that was from like the Game Mastery Guide. So I've sort of shown those in full detail, but basically the review portions of those videos have all been the exact same because like it's just a really well done, fantastic product. And it feels a little redundant at this point to sort of explain why they're so good. So I think what I want to do is do like an accessory spotlight video where I get, half a dozen or so of the more recent accessories and just sort of show them off a little bit more briefly than I would in their own full dedicated videos. So like, for example, I may not go through and show every single card that's in the Bestiary 3 battle card set, but I can show you sort of the format of them, and I can give you my thoughts, but in a much more concise way, while at the same time just being able to show off some other great accessories that are also out there and available. I'll also show them in like these kinds of like pickups or new game stuff videos, so that around the time that I get them, even if it's a few weeks before I get to do the actual review, you'll still at least get to see that they're out there, and if you're interested in them, you can check them out at your local game store. But I think I'm at least going to try that for a few accessories that I have and a few more that are sort of coming in the very near future, and just sort of see how that works. I'll try it out, and if it doesn't work out, then I can go back to doing individual videos. But that's just sort of the way I want to handle it going forward, because there's a lot of really great accessories. But they're similar product lines, and like I said, it just feels like I'm repeating myself a little bit too much. As someone who's already prone to repeating myself in videos, I just want to try to cut that down at least a little bit. So we'll try the product showcase where I could show these things in a little bit more detail, but maybe not in as much as I would do with a full-fledged video. That said, if you want to see every single card that's in the set, let me know. And I can do that as a separate video where that's just the main focus, and then, we can sort of end it at that. So anyway, that's those. Those are the accessories. I also received the Starfinder Tech Revolution book. So this is, again, I haven't had a chance to read this too much. I only got this a couple of days ago. And as I've said before, maybe not so much on YouTube, but I've definitely mentioned this in some of my Twitch streams. I am waiting for some glasses to come in for me. Reading stuff is just starting to get a little bit harder and harder on my eyes, where I used to get eye strain really bad, and it leads to headaches and can also snowball into migraines. It's an issue that I've had with PDFs forever, but with books it's not as bad, but it's still something that happens a bit more frequently than it used to. So I should be getting those hopefully within the next few days. I really hope so. It's been about 3 weeks since I had the exam, and they said it would take, maybe about 3 weeks or so, maybe a little bit more, to get the glasses in once they're ordered. So really hoping that those come in very, very soon. But I've sort of glanced through it, and there's some really cool stuff in here. There's a new character class, a full 20-level core character class in here that has to do with nanotechnology, which I think is really, really interesting. But as the cover shows, there's also mechs now. So if you wanted a BattleTech style combat, or adventure, or even if you wanted to run a campaign around creating mechs, or having warring factions, battle through these mech suits, that's something you can do now. And I know people love mechs, and this gives you information on how to create them, how to run them in combat, stuff like that. So it's going to be a very, very interesting book to go through. Like I said, the review video for this should be out very, very soon. Essentially, once I get the glasses, it'll make the process so much easier, because the glasses are supposed to essentially eliminate that eye strain factor, which is becoming a bit more and more of an issue as I get closer and closer to middle age. So anyway, that was that. Now up next, this was also actually an item that was sent to me, and I can't remember if I had shown this in a video prior, but it does set up for another product. I'm going to show this off just the same anyway. So this is the Symbaroum Haunted Waste Adventure Book. So this is, I guess, the 5th installment in an ongoing storyline by Free League for the Symbaroum RPG. But it's sort of broken down into a series of shorter adventures. Now this was something that was actually sent to me at the same time as the Alien Colonial Marines Operations Manual, which I already did a video on, but this was something that they just sort of threw in the box as well, and I really wasn't expecting it. But I was super excited to see it, and I really want to try it out. This is a system that I really want to try. Free League also had sent me the starter set a little while ago, and I sort of done a video kind of showing that off. And like I said, it seems like a very interesting system, but I wanted a little bit more than just the starter set and the adventure book to go off of before I try to run it. So I went to my local game store, knowing that I had, a campaign book that I could work through, as well as a starter set to get people into the game, but I also wanted to get a copy of the core rulebook. So this is something that I ordered from my local game store, and this is actually tied to the last thing that I'm going to talk about, in just sort of an annoying, kind of frustrating manner. But this was something, like I said, I was very interested in. I wanted to get it since I received the starter set, but just never really pulled the trigger on it. There was always other stuff that I was expecting, sort of, at the time as well. So finally, I just bit the bullet and was like, can we order this in? And I ordered it on a Wednesday, and the following Monday it was in. So it was fantastic. And yeah, I'm going to do, hopefully I'll get a chance to do a review video on the Symbaroum system, again, in the very near future. It's also something, like I said, I haven't dived into too much yet, because I am still waiting for those bloody glasses. And I want to say that the day that I ordered, I think the day that I ordered the core rulebook was also the same day that I had that eye exam, so a few weeks ago. I've had this for a couple weeks now. But anyway, yeah, it's just something, like I said, I really wanted to get. The system seems interesting. As a game master who is prone to rolling really poorly, I kind of like the idea of having, a system I can pull off the shelf for a one-shot or sort of a short burst, 2 to 3 session campaign arc, where I don't have to roll at all. I can just let the players do all the rolling, and I can just give them like the modifiers based off of, the creature that they're interacting with, or the whatever, the obstacle is that they're interacting with. So like I said, it seems like an interesting system. I want to learn more about it. I'm just waiting until, again, it'll be a little easier to read. Not because of like the situation with eye strain. All right, so the next item. This is one that I've talked about actually on my Twitch stream a couple of times, because this is kind of a frustrating story. So, well, to show what it is here first. So this is the D&D Castle Amber Original Adventures Reincarnated by Goodman Games. So they put out a bunch of these already. I've got the first 5 now, and that's, well, I'll get more into what my plans for the future is when it comes to these Original Adventures Reincarnated. But anyway, so with this book, I ordered this back in March. I want to say it was around that time that it came out, or it was around the time that it was coming out. Like, I'm pretty sure it was actually out by then, because when I went to my local game store, I asked the owners, like, do you think this is something that you might be able to order in? Because typically, like, he hasn't stocked any of these normally, but it is something. I did get the previous book, The Lost City, from that store as well, so like I know they have the ability to do it. So I asked him if it was something that he could do. He's like, well, let me contact the distributor. The distributor said, yeah, we've got it in stock. We can send it out in the next shipment. It's like, great. So this is back in March. I want to say it was like early to mid-March, but I'm pretty sure it was early March. It was basically like right after I saw people like getting their copies on like Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. So I knew that the book was physically available at the time. So the distributor said they had it in stock and they would send it out. So a couple weeks go by, and like I waited. I wanted there to be a little bit of a buffer, because sometimes it does take a couple of weeks for custom orders to come in. So I just asked, like, has this arrived yet? And he said no, but he checked with them again. He said that they shipped it out. It just hasn't arrived yet. It's like, that's fine. No worries. So just like he just said, check in next week, and we'll go from there. So I did that, checking in next week, for probably about 2 months. And then instead of checking in once a week whenever a new order came in, because a lot of times with custom orders, they won't show it in their, like, when they do their photos of stuff that's come in, because it's not something for the general public. And the owner's busy, right? So I don't expect them to necessarily contact me every single time. It's, I totally understand that, there's a lot of stuff going on at that store. I've seen how busy it gets. So I just, had no problem messaging them, when an order came in. But after a couple months of it still not arriving, I decided that I would sort of wait a little bit longer between requests. So it basically went to the point where it was like once every couple of weeks, and then once every 3 weeks, and then there got to a point where it was like, over a month that went by before finally asking about it. And I'd almost forgotten about it, truth be told, until I saw something for the 6th book in the series. It's like, oh yeah, I ordered that like months ago. So finally, it was just like, you know what, this isn't coming in, because it was, it was in September now. Like it was 6 months. It was at least 6 months from the time that I initially requested, this could be sent in, when the distributor said, oh yeah, we've got it, we can send it in the next shipment. It was 6 months. So I just went in to the owner, and I just said, I don't think this is coming in. Like, I don't think it's showing up. Like, I don't know what happened. Maybe they thought they had more in stock than they did. Maybe, other people's orders got filled and they ran out before they could get to yours and they just got confused. Like, I have no idea, right? I have no idea what's going on, but it's been 6 months. I'm tired of waiting. It's not coming in. So the day that we decided that was the day that I asked if we could instead order in the Symbaroum core rulebook. Right? So I was like, can we just get this instead because the other one's just not coming? Like, I'm not waiting anymore. And he said, sure, no problem. Ordered this book. So we ordered this book on a Wednesday, which is the day that he normally gets his orders in. The following Monday, I received a picture text with this there, with the Symbaroum book, and it's like, hey, this came in for you. If you want to, pick it up whenever it's convenient for you, it's here. And it's like, awesome. And then like 30 seconds later, there was a picture with this in it. So it's my luck, right? It's just my luck when it comes to stuff like this. I waited and waited and waited, and I exercised, a ton of patience until I finally just couldn't take it anymore. It's like, all right, it's not happening. And when we finally gave up on it, that's when it showed up. But not only is that when the book shown up, like that wasn't just the timing around where the book finally arrived, but it was also in the same order as the Symbaroum core rulebook. It was literally in the same box. So not only did it not arrive until I'd finally given up on it, but it arrived in the same box as the product I decided to order in its place. So it's just like, he's like, do you want it? Like, you have first crack at it because you originally ordered this, but if you're not interested, I understand. And I said, no, I'll get them both. I went down that same day and picked both of these up. But that's just been my luck when it comes to these sort of things. So that's going to bring me to the future for me and the Original Adventures Reincarnated series. This is, at this point in time, and I, never say never. I understand that. I definitely understand that because I've said never on things that ended up going back on. Like I said I was never going to get into 3.5, prior to its release, and then I bought it immediately. I was never going to get into 4th edition, and then I got into that. I even said at one point I wasn't interested in 5th edition, and here we are now. I said I was never interested in Pathfinder 1st edition, and now I've got a collection of Pathfinder 1st edition pocketbooks, right? So it's just, I know to never say never. So when I say that, this is my at least plans going forward for now, take that for what it is. But this is the second time in a row where I've had to wait an unrealistic amount of time for something to come in from when I ordered it. So when I had mentioned the previous book, B4, which I got from the same store, it was sort of a similar thing that had happened. I ordered the book, again, I want to say it was, in March or maybe April, but it was about a 5 to 6 month wait for it to come in. Now, with that one, I was a little bit more understanding because the game store was closed down for a couple of months. It was also right around the time that the COVID outbreak really started in Canada. So, things kind of got, ground to a bit of a halt there for a while. So I excused that one. But enough time had gone by and I had forgotten about it or not even mentioned it to my local game store owner for so long that when the book actually did arrive, he forgot that it was a custom order and just threw it up on the shelf. Actually, I'm not going to say he forgot, because I think somebody else may have been working the store or may have been the one that put the order out. But yeah, it was just one of those things where it had been so long. It's like, oh, this must have just been something that I ordered because I saw it in the, in the catalog. So he threw it on the shelf, and lo and behold, I ended up going in like the day after, and it just happened to be there. It's like, oh, I ordered that, so I picked it up and paid for it. But this time, I mean, yes, the COVID-19 thing is still definitely, an ongoing situation. We're not fully reopened yet, but, things have been operating relatively smoothly for the last, several months, right? So, and during that whole time, there was a bit of a lockdown period, but unlike the previous one, like the store still stayed open the whole time. So this wasn't a situation where, the order may have come in, but he just wasn't there to receive it, so it ended up going back or something like that, right? Like that wasn't the situation that happened here. This just took 6 months to come in. And having that happen 2 times in a row, 2 books in a row, it is frustrating. Now, this isn't a knock against Goodman Games, right? Because I think that they're a great company. I think that they do, amazing work. Dungeon Crawl Classics. I've never looked at it I've never run it myself, but I've heard nothing but great stuff about it. There's like a Mutant Crawl Classics or something like that as well. There's like a mutant version, and from what I understand, and just from the original Adventures Reincarnated. All the stuff that they do is really well done. Like, it's really top-notch work. You can tell it's something that they're passionate about. It really reflects in the products. Like, I think as a company, they do amazing stuff. But as someone who lives in Nova Scotia, and as someone who has had to wait several months repeatedly for books to come in, I don't know if it's just something with the Canadian distributors. Like, they're not ordering a lot of it in because it's from a smaller company. Like, I don't know what the details are, but it's been really frustrating to get the books in. The first 3 books that I had, I got them from a different store that, again, like, they ordered them, but I want to say that they ended up, like, they all came in sort of around the same time, and that was after the 3rd book in the series had come out. And I want to say, like, they never had books 1 or 2 in until then. Like, I want to say that they got, the B1, B2, X1, and the Expedition to Barrier Peaks, whatever S module. Is it S module? Whatever the dungeon module was for that for AD&D. So, like, they even had trouble getting them in, and I've never seen them restock since. So it's just, I don't know what it is, but to get these books in Nova Scotia seems just to be very difficult. I've looked at ordering them directly online as well, but these books with shipping to Canada, they come in at well over $100, and I'm not willing to spend over $100 on a book. Like, there's nothing in my RPG collection that I have spent more than $100 on. In fact, there's nothing in my RPG collection that I've spent more than $90 on, and that includes my turkey-sized Great Worm Red Dragon miniature. So yeah, unfortunately, it's just been really frustrating to try to get these in. Again, I don't think that's an issue with the company per se. I think it's just more with the distributors, and however they order these in or how they ship these out, because it shouldn't take 6 months for something to arrive. And it definitely shouldn't be arriving in the same order as something that was ordered like 4 days ago, right? So I don't know what's going on there, but it's just been very frustrating to try to get these in. And truthfully, Castle Amber is the first of all 6 books that I didn't have the original of in any way, shape, or form. So with B1 and B2, I've got both of those. I have the original like B1 module, and then I have a reprint of B1 from DM's Guild. I have the original of Isle of Dread, which is X1. I have the Expedition to Barrier Peaks from the Dungeons of Dread reprint compilation book that came out for first edition AD&D back in 2013, I think it was. So those, and the Lost City. While I don't have the full module, I do have the B1, B9 collection that I got from DM's Guild as well. So that has the city in it. It may not have the entire module, but it does have, the Lost City for you to explore. So I have the meat and potatoes of that module, if not like the original, like the full original module. So I have access to all 4 of the first 4 in some form or fashion without having to, get them through the original Adventures Reincarnated. Castle Amber was the first one that I can't say that for. Like, I don't have the module. I don't have it in any way, shape, or form. I don't have it as part of a compilation book that gives you just the greatest hits portion of it. I don't have it from like a modern update or anything like that. I just don't have Castle Amber. Now, the 6th book in the series is the Temple of Elemental Evil, which I have the original book for. So it's just like, very few of these so far have been ones that I don't own. In fact, like I said, of 6, this is the only one that I didn't have some form of prior. So I'm just like, I'm tired of waiting half a year to get them in. So far, they're all stuff that I basically have already. So there's just not a lot of incentive for me to try to collect these anymore. Again, it's unfortunate because they are well done, and I don't want anyone to take this as me slamming Goodman Games at all. Like, I don't think it's their fault that the distributors in Canada have not been ordering them in a lot, or they're not restocking them, or that it's taking, gross amounts of time for them to arrive. And there's other parts of Canada where that's probably not an issue. There are probably stores in Ontario that, get these really easily. Or other major places like out in Alberta or British Columbia. So there's like lots of places in Canada that are probably not having any issues getting these in. But to get these to Nova Scotia for whatever reason has been just a nightmare, and I'm tired of going through it. So for now, at least, for the time being, this will be the last one of the original Adventures Reincarnated that I get. Again, nothing against Goodman Games. I don't blame them. It's, just the distributors and whatever's going on with trying to get these into Canada or get these into Nova Scotia. It's just too much for me to keep going on with. And I'm not entirely sure, but I think like the 7th book might be Ravenloft, which I also have the original module of, and Curse of Strahd. So, I really don't need, and I have the 3rd edition 3.5 version of it as well. So, so I'm not planning on getting any more for the near future. But, if there's one that comes out that I don't have that I'm really interested in, then sure, I will probably, get it at some point. But for now, at least, it's just been too frustrating. It's just taken too long, like unreasonable amounts of time for me to get them. So for the time being, unfortunately, this is going to be the last Original Adventures Reincarnated book that I get, at least for the foreseeable future. But that said, I don't necessarily want to end it on sort of a low note, but, it is what it is. But yeah, so these are the things that I've recently added to my gaming collection. So let me know in the comments below what are some of the cool things that you guys have managed to add to your collection. I always, usually get some really, really cool comments from people. For example, one of my regulars told me that he just recently got the Holmes Basic set, like the booklet, not the box set, but like the booklet that comes inside of it. And that's freaking amazing. So, I'm really, so it's always great to hear some of the awesome stuff that you guys get. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. And once again, thank you to Piezo and to Free League for sending me some of these things for making future review videos on. Thank you again to Chris for sending me the spell book tracker for your upcoming Kickstarter. And if you're interested in seeing what's inside of this particular box here, then check back with me on October 12th when I have the full video and the link to the Kickstarter so you can check it out for yourself. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Take care.